Hello, Patrick.
Hello. Yeah, I'm
Good to
here.
see you. Good to see
Good to
you.
see you.
Welcome from the Paso Verse. We're streaming to you live from Death Valley, and we have Patrick Tobler in Germany,
In
right?
Switzerland, in Zurich.
Switzerland. Okay, you're always moving, so it's hard to pin you down.
Hmm. But
Um,
most of the time I'm here.
yes, yes. Today we wanted to have just an informal discussion on the Pasos to kind of share with the community our rationale for now launching the token and how we see it's going to supercharge our growth, and how it's going to be sharing value creation into the hands of our community. And Patrick and I have been discussing on this for some time. We know it's Labor Day weekend today. A lot of people are out and about doing different things in America, but this was an important since we launched the book and the last mint with book.io a couple of days ago on Friday, and we did mention that Pasos is going to become part of the reward cycle. So that's why we're coming to you live today to kind of discuss what's happening. And we'll have more sessions on this with more details because there's more elements to it, but this should be giving at least a basic understanding for what the Pasos token will be in the El Paso verse.
Hmm. Very exciting. I think, yeah, I think it's interesting to combine, getting books, buying books, and then also receiving a reward token for essentially reading them. Yeah, it's a dynamic you don't really have in the regular, book world. So I think it's quite interesting to explore.
Well, when we started talking about book.io, I know that was on their roadmap that they were going to reward tokens as you would read per page. Is that that's not implemented yet? I think, is it?
No, it's not implemented yet. I think it's very difficult to do because you have to have security measures, and you have to see, okay, who's actually reading, and not that someone is just skipping all the pages or stuff like that.
Right.
But it's coming. Yeah.
Yeah. Good. Well, going back to the beginning of why we started this project, Patrick, can you share a little bit about what got you involved and why did you decide to spend time on this project?
It's such a strange history how we even met for the very first time. I remember talking to this investor guy who I'm friends with. He's also here from Zurich, and he was basically the one who introduced me to you. And then it was the height of the NFT bull market, and there was so much stuff going on, and everything was crazy as well. And then I think the first time we met, you just had this 1 hour PowerPoint presentation that you gave me, and afterwards I understood even less. So, but it sounded very, very interesting. So I kind of kept going, and then we had phases where we had a lot of contact, and then very little contact, and then I think in the last half a year, it really ramped up, and you actually launched the first books, and now we're getting to a point where I say, okay, the project itself is really crazy and big, and I'm not even personally the biggest Western fan or anything, but I just love this vision that you have, and that's why I'm basically joining, because I think, okay, it's something that if it works, it's going to be amazing, and I just like these things that are so surreal and so I don't want to say crazy all the time, but so insane almost, that you have to follow it through. You have to see it through. And you've been doing it for so many years that I'm like, okay, if there's one thing clear, then it's that Ryan never gives up. So, why not support him as much as possible?
Well, some of this I think it would be crazy not to do, because if we have the opportunity to do it, then we must go after it. And there are far more ambitious projects on the planet, such as Elon Musk wanting to colonize Mars, right? And this is a civilization that's going to happen before that, way before that, and we have a much clearer trajectory to doing it.
True.
So, I think it's important that we do things we haven't done before, and that's been part of the reason. I just want people to experience what this offers. And the books, for me, I didn't even consider the books that much. That was something that you insisted that we start as a launch platform for this. which has been very successful and very smart. And what's great about it, it gives people a chance to read and start to imagine what I'm talking about, what the real experience is going to be like. And we've seen some community members that have been saying, wow, if El Paso Verse is going to be anything like what's in these stories, in these books, it's going to be out of this world. So,
Yeah.
setting the tone, making people have the tools to imagine what we're talking about, I think is very, very powerful. And that's where books come from. That's where movies come in. And eventually going there personally and live is the ultimate entertainment experience that I think today's public wants more than just sitting back in a movie theater and experiencing the feelings of an actor. They want to actually be in it themselves. And that's what we're offering here with these steps. So
Yeah, exactly. And I think the reason why we're doing the books first is because there's just so many of them. There's so much content. It's often books that are not published in the US yet. No one really knows them in the 21st century, even though they are hugely popular in the past, and especially with older people in Norway, I guess. It's a huge ecosystem around these books that is so good and so high quality that we need to use it as a base and share it with everyone and then build upon, essentially.
I mean, books used to be read themselves, right? Or people used to pick up books because that was the means of entertainment. Now we have this whole economy around it and reward systems. But that's getting to the PASOS and why we're putting the PASOS out there. If you look at the scope of where we're going with this project, and I think I mentioned this to you last time we spoke, whether someone is contributing resources, funds, money from the partners, or someone is buying collectibles of the product that we're offering, which adds financial strength to the project, or someone is out there just promoting the project because they're passionate about it. That's why all of those elements have the same value to us, because we need to reach a certain scale here. We need to have this reach a large group, a large community, a large audience. But what's really unique about that is that even though we need to get to a certain figure, at some point it's going to get extremely scarce because we only have so much capacity in the El Paso Verse. And the maximum civilization that can be in there is 10,000 or 20,000 people in the phases that we have planned. So, we need to now get to a community of 20, 30,000 people quickly. And then once we do that and we have that drive, it's suddenly going to become incredibly scarce and long waiting lists because of the limited capacity of the physical place. And I think that makes it different than a lot of other crypto projects. And of course, when we open it up to level 1 to the general public, where we can have 500,000 visitors a year at least, we should be able to get this community to 1 million people. So, but right now, to accelerate this, we have agreed and decided to put the PASOS token, the El Paso Verse token, out there as a rewards token, as a loyalty token, as something that is giving the original community that helps us build this an alignment in value creation and being able to participate and be in it. That's my rationale for why we're doing this. We're not doing a token offering. We're not, at this point and in the foreseeable future, it's really about getting to that critical mass where the project just steamrolls, because then there will be a long waiting list of people wanting to get in and use the economy. And inherently, the PASOS will become very desirable. And then we should be at capacity at that point.
Absolutely. And I think the really important thing here to highlight is that they're essentially the idea is not to do a token sale or an ICO or anything like that, but to essentially just give them out to the people in the community, to the holders of the books, to the people that contribute in any other way, as reward and loyalty tokens, right? So you can participate in this very early on by just being a part of the El Paso Verse. And then in the later phases, essentially, there will be utility for them, and you can use them in the El Paso Verse, and you can do many things that you can better outline than I can. But that's really the idea.
Yeah, absolutely. But we do have some utility right away, and that makes it cool. So we can, it's not just future utility. It's actually a couple of elements that allows you to use them now.
Mm-hmm.
On a side note to this, I think it'd be really cool if someone that was an early contributor to this was pushing the project forward a couple of years from now would be able to go and stay in the Paso Verse for a month or something that you otherwise would have had to pay, I don't know, some large amount of money to do. I mean, if you're going to go on a holiday somewhere and spend a month, you need a certain amount of cash to do that. But if these pasos that you have been able to accumulate by being a community member allows you to do that on the level of someone coming in later when we're more commercial that has to pay cash for it, I think that's really cool. Kind of like the guy at Facebook who did spray painted the wall, the graffiti on the wall, and that had a huge reward for him later. So in my mind, that's how this will work out.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's it. And I really like this approach because you can just say, okay, we're giving them away now, and we will build the El Paso Verse ecosystem on the Paso tokens. And if the El Paso Verse ecosystem is successful, your Paso tokens will be useful essentially. And and that's it.
Yeah. And let supply and demand set the market price entirely. Let the market decide what it's worth. So we're not going to give any guidance on that, but we are very mindful of making sure that the supply and demand will always be scarce. And as this project scales up, and that's where I think the early participants are in a good place to participate in this economy. So we had some notes on this. I think we should share that. Just so we kind of look at the definition of the token today. Could you pull that up, Patrick?
No, I can't. You have to pull it up.
Okay. Okay, there. Okay, so here, I'm going to go like this. Okay. So let's just walk through this and give some commentary to it. This will all be released in a paper. Where do we release this? Is this do we do a white paper at this point, or?
That's a good question. Maybe we'll do like a light paper. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, you and I have looked at the internal documents for our business plan, and it's pretty comprehensive. There's a lot to it, but this is about releasing only this part now. So
yes, so maybe a light paper is the right way, and then later we can still have a white paper with like 100 pages if we want to.
Okay. All right. So the mission is, as we said, the purpose of the PASOS is to accelerate growth and provide a single instrument to the community and stakeholders. This currency will facilitate transactions and shared growth. That's essentially what this has to do. And as I said earlier, the token price will be determined solely by the market based on supply and demand. So you guys out there will determine what it's worth. I have ideas what I think it should be worth, but it's not for me to say, and we need time to get there. So initially, a pool of tokens shall be distributed to active participants in the community who confer value to the project. During initial phases, PASOS will provide utility for purchases, redemptions, and exclusive access within the Paso Verse. So that's where we are now. We do have utility right now, and we're going to talk about that in a moment. I think we have it on the next page. And then as a general note, there's a scalability here. While this initial supply shall be meaningful to early holders, it represents a relatively small percentage of the overall tokens planned to be released once the economy of El Paso Verse opens to the general public. So a large reserve of tokens will be held in expectation to meet demand of the public to exchange fiat currencies later, so they can go into Pasos and experience, live there, build their businesses or homes, and experience everything that's within El Paso Verse. So the reason we haven't put a number on this yet, I mean, we have a lot of calculations and it's probably a subsequent stream. Once we have a little more feedback in the community, we might release more of this. But the scale and the size of the El Paso Verse economy is huge. I mean, it's going to be 10 to 20,000 people living there and working there and going in and out, in addition to the 500,000 people that go through level 1 every year. So we can start to put numbers on that, but for now, this is really the details of what this token means. Do you have something to add to that before we go on, Patrick?
Yeah, I think, I just want to highlight again, it's not a regular token launch. It's basically only attainable, at least in the first, few stages, through basically participating in the ecosystem, reading the books, buying the books, stuff like that. And there's no like pre-sale, there's no VCs, there's no like unfair distribution or liquidity pool event or anything like that. It's just, gonna get out there, and then everyone who participates can get some PASO tokens.
Yeah.
And then, you will be able to use them in the ecosystem, and then maybe at some point in the future, or not maybe, of course, at some point in the future, they will be so useful that people are willing to pay for them. But that's then something that is not controlled by us and is just, happening in this ecosystem, essentially.
It might actually stay like that for a long time, based on the fact that there will be this oncoming demand of people wanting to change their fiat into PASOS to experience what it is. Are there have you seen this in other token projects off the cuff, where they have this kind of dynamic?
I mean, there are some token projects where you just do airdrops and you do like free claims, and they start with no money injection, so to speak. Yeah, I mean, it is not uncommon in crypto. There's like any sort of token launch that's possible. Anything that's possible has happened.
Okay, so let's look at the tokenomics. If you can scroll down a bit.
Yes.
What this means now is the PASOS rewards and loyalty token. The PASOS can, at the current phase, can be used for purchasing, and we still have to agree with Book and Book.io whether they will accept PASOS as part of payment on which books. We will certainly do it. We will offer it from certain books that's coming out of the Paso Verse portfolio, but we would like to see also that they can be used for the upcoming mints with Book. It's not, that doesn't cover all of it. It's not definitive yet, but we do have certain books that are directly allocated for purchases with these PASOS. You'll be able to redeem and become a featured character in the collectibles yourself. That's kind of cool. That's what we talked about a little bit the other day, that you can, I spoke about this with Jason at Book, that we need a lot of actors. We need a lot of faces. We go through, for productions, we want a very bustling and busy town. And so we need a lot of people all the time, and why not use the community that's passionate about this? And I enjoy seeing the transformation of someone that is coming out of the modern day world, and once they get here and they go through the costume choices and the gun belts and they step into the elements, how they transform completely. We've done this with a few people already, and you'll see them on now the upcoming covers, as well as like Christian, who is a business person and art director, but he transforms completely once he becomes the bartender, and he puts on a mustache and everything. And so we want everyone to have that opportunity. I know Carpool in the community is ready to go. We have, by the way, if you want to have questions, I didn't say this early on, but if you want to send us your questions, you're welcome to do so, and we'll try to address them at the end. We do have a bit of a delay in the stream, so just submit them at any time. So it's an opportunity with PASOS. You can exchange and redeem the ability to become featured either on the book covers or in the actual movie productions. And this will come with certain conditions, such as it was suggested also by the community last time that they may want to make their own travel arrangements to get here. But even so, if people come for local hire, as happens in the movie business, you still have a cost. So for us, it's we will work this into the plan that you can redeem your PASOS to be this featured character. And this also opens up to exclusive redemption of certain movie props and merchandise too. So as of now, the utility is obtaining El Paso Verse products and access, right?
Yes, exactly.
So then in the next phase, in phase 2, we're now going to be launching, we talked about this with stuff.io, with Jason and book.io, that we will be doing these motion prints, where we'll be releasing individual frames from the movies. They will give you access to see the movies exclusively, to the premieres, to see it streamed on your phone. But the PASOS will give you a separate access to watch exclusive streaming content. So if you have a certain amount of PASOS in your wallet, you will get also exclusive access. So that's an important one. That's kind of like having the fuel high enough in your wallet to stay with the El Paso Pass subscription.
Mhm. I think what's nice about all this is that essentially, you get the tokens for being part of the ecosystem, right? And you can spend them to get more access to the ecosystem. So essentially, it's like a circular economy. You don't really have to rely on anything outside. It's just okay. You want to be part of the Paso Verse, then you have Pasos, and then you can spend them to essentially like earn or access other stuff in the El Paso Verse universe.
Yeah, because we also have on the production side and crew, they're willing to get paid in pesos. So it's for us very helpful. It helps us reduce the cost of our productions, and our partners are taking also payment in pesos. So it gives us a lot more ability to grow a lot quicker. So it's really about putting this one instrument, shared instrument, into everybody's hands. And as I said earlier, it doesn't matter to us if you are growing the community, you're participating and purchasing collectibles, or you're actually doing the work to help build the project. It's all the same, and it should be the same value in the same instrument. Okay, then phase three is of course the big one. That's when El Paso Verse opens. That's when the land opens, and it will be the only currency for you to be able to enter and experience it live, to be there, to live there, to be there, to build your business there. And we don't even currently, the plan is not to run this as a theme park where you pay tickets at the door to get in. I'd rather you go to the exchange office and exchange into pesos, and go, and it's a natural economy in there. So that's where the pesos gets very powerful in this phase.
Yeah, I mean that's really amazing. Like where you actually have a physical place where you can spend the pesos is perfect. That's exactly how it should be, because then you suddenly have you expanded this circular economy that I mentioned earlier into another realm, which is obviously the physical realm, and then you can just live in the El Paso verse and consume nothing else and just use the pesos basically.
Yeah, if you find a way to be self-sustaining, you can stay there in perpetuity, and that's
Exactly.
I know several people that has that plan. But being able to come in the first time, I think this gives the community a really early start, an early jump on it to get their life set up there. Okay, so pesos can be obtained by purchasing on exchanges. Once this, can you talk a little bit about that, Patrick? I mean, it's probably standard to the crypto community, but it will go on
so
chain.
basically at the beginning they will not be available on exchanges or anything like that. In the beginning they will only be available if you claim them through essentially holding the books and participating in the ecosystem. So you will simply be able to claim them through a claiming link, connect your wallet, and then get some pesos. So very simple. And then what happens afterwards, so if you list them on any dexes or anywhere where they can actually be sold or so, that's not really our cup of tea anymore. That's really up to you, like what you do with them. They are your tokens. You can do whatever you like with them.
Yeah.
And and that's essentially it.
Okay. So it says here, when you get involved to confer hands-on volunteering, to fulfill community work and initiatives. And let's see, there's a drag to move. Is that mine here? Okay, there. So that's what I said earlier. If you provide valuable working service for us, it can be on set, it can be behind the scenes, it can be in front of the camera, it can be also virtual work. So if you're, I mean, we need all kinds of editing work, digital work all around the world. If you're willing to do that work in exchange for pesos, it's a good exchange for us, and it should be for the recipient. So that's part of it. See, where are we now? This I mentioned that what this includes, and it could be at specific sites like in Spain, in California, and in the near future, Texas. Otherwise, virtually, it's just as valuable. So, working as a production crew, we mentioned, and we will be announcing these open positions through our channels and our revamped website that's coming. We've now moved the project to the US, and that's really where the seat of the project is. And we're in the process now of launching the El Paso Verse website, which will have all this relevant information organized along with upcoming schedule releases for books and such. So we'll be announcing open positions there, and people can submit and apply. Since the last stream, we've gotten a lot of offshoot messages of people wanting to basically be actors. We've been inundated with people that want to do that. So, but there's a lot of other jobs other than just being actors too. So this is an exciting one on line 32 here, receiving a quarterly bonus when you hold a full set of published Paso Verse book titles in your wallet. So this is basically, if you're supporting our economy and you're collecting and you're aligned with those collectibles, we want to give you an additional reward by doing so. And this is almost like, I compare it a bit to the stock market, where you have yearly dividends if you hold a stock at a certain date. And it'll be kind of similar here, that when if your wallet contains the full lineup of titles, you're entitled to this quarterly bonus. We have not announced the number of the bonus yet, but it's coming. We're fine-tuning numbers, and it will be it should be a good one.
Yeah, absolutely. My favorite line in all this is Tobler, enter here.
Oh. Okay, yeah, that's a good one. You always have good input. No, but that's basically how you were explaining in our discussion how people can claim those tokens. It'll not be an airdrop, but it'll be a claim, right?
Exactly. It will be a claim. You can simply go to the website, connect your wallet, and receive the tokens for free. So very simple, very easy, very straightforward.
Yeah. And then on that note, also there's many ways to grow the community. Let's talk a little bit about that before I get to the end of this. There's a lot of ways you can do it quickly, but you want the right community. You want people that are in it for the right reasons, and people that are diehard, strong, committed to the cause, to the vision. And we've balanced that very carefully as we've rolled out the strategy. It's really important for us now to boost this community to get large enough that we have strength through numbers and through the right kind of numbers, the right kind of community. So these initiatives, this is all part of that. But we do have, we need you, we need the community really to help us spread the word, because it's such a novel idea. This is such a different idea that the search term becomes El Paso Verse. We see that's the one that's working. That's where people are tuning in. They're actually searching for El Paso Verse. That's how they find us. But outside of that, there's not that many search words that kind of fit, other than Old West. And, so this is designed to reward spread and growth in the community. And you have a program as well that if you take certain actions as a community member, you will, that's what this says, right, Patrick? The social media community mission, fan mission. And the last part of that is the book games that you can, if you have knowledge from reading the books, you'll be able to redeem rewards, which is a little bit different than earning per page you read. You actually have to pay attention to what you're reading and then be able to answer the questions. So I think that's basically where this is today. This is the information that we think is appropriate at this time, since this is a loyalty token and rewards token, and it'll be boosted with more later as we get into the numbers and specifically about it.
Exactly. I don't have anything to add. I think we explained it very nicely, and I'm very excited.
Yeah.
I think launching a token like this is a very smart move, as I said, or as I keep saying, because it's actually rewarding people, and it's not just like trying to take liquidity from them or anything like that. But it's really about, okay, you are here from the beginning. You can get some Paso tokens very early on.
Yeah, absolutely. So we have a couple of questions here. If you have others, feel free to submit them. We're coming up to the end of the stream. This is just a short one today. It's Labor Day. We know a lot of people are out. Someone is saying here, this is Ada Guppy.
Guppy, maybe? I'm not sure.
You probably know better how to pronounce him. Will this start for the holders of the first 5 books? No, almost. This will start with the holders of the books that are currently in circulation at the time of this drop. So we are quarterly. We have to announce now the upcoming date for the first quarterly. I guess we haven't really decided, but it could be following the calendar year, right?
Yeah, I would follow the calendar year. I think that makes sense. Yeah.
So Q.
So end of we just started with Q3. So end of Q4, basically. We just started with Q4 actually. So end of Q4, I would say.
Yeah. Yes. We just finished Q3, so end of Q4. So end of Q4, we will do the first drop on this, and it'll be we'll have to decide on the cutoff date. But as of today, it includes book number 6, and probably will include a few more books. But it's important that you stay with the series. If we haven't talked about this, but basically right now, I think the 6th book is it's not sold out, but it's had a good sale and a good run. But if we don't sell it out, I would suggest that we burn it or we take it off. Isn't that how you would do it? And then that becomes a more scarce title and makes it even harder to stay with these collections, because this is meant to really drive the aftermarket as well, to make it very scarce to have and to be able to hold the full series.
Yeah, exactly. Right? And that's what's interesting about it. That's why, it makes sense to actually mint all the books and participate this early on, because there will be rarity. And if this grows to the numbers that we want to have, then 100 books is, or how many did we sell? 200 books, I think, for the latest one is not a lot.
No, it was a lot of people in the community have come back and said we need to give earlier heads up on when the book launches is coming. We actually been more focused on communicating the messaging of Paso Verse and doing these streams and getting up to speed. But we will give you better leadway on when the books are coming. But essentially every 2 weeks, a book is supposed to come. Morgan Kane comes every month, and then another author alternates in between. So as of now, to answer the question here, we have a follow-up question. How many books do you plan to drop between now and the end of the year? So if it's bi-weekly, every 2 weeks, it's basically, do a quick calculation on that. It should be 8 books. And out of those, half will be Morgan Kane and half will be something else, right? So to those that have collected the first 5, they're in a really, really good position, and we encourage you to stay with it. It should definitely be worth your time and collection.
Exactly.
Do we have anything more to add? Any other questions before we sign off here?
I don't see any other questions. I think we already went at it for 30 minutes. So yeah, I think we covered everything that we wanted to. And I don't have anything to add, to be honest. It's very clear, in my opinion.
Yeah. So very excited about this. Excited to have this be part of the economy, and it's an important step towards the Paso Verse. So again, as before, I'm going to run the outro video of the video that I encourage everyone to go see, because it relates directly to what we're talking about. It's the Paso Verse revealed. Make sure you go see it. It's on X, it's on YouTube, and it shows you where this economy ultimately will go. Thank you, Patrick.
Thank you. Have a great rest of your day.
Thank you, community. Thank you to everyone who's tuned in. Wonderful to see you. We really appreciate all the support and all the interactivity. And let's take this all the way. Let's see, here it comes.
The goods can be transported by sea.
It has the power to kind of be a time machine, and the scope of it is just beyond anything we've seen in entertainment offerings. But before we get to the land and the core of it, I'd like us to go to
years in Mexico, or wherever he disappeared to. He returned not as a desperado, but as a gunman.
The day has come to reveal what El Paso Verse truly is about, and now that we lay out all the details here with the map and the land and the underlying value here, you'll get a sense of why we're so passionate about this vision.
In the mid-1870s, Morgan Kane disappeared, apparently without any trace. But after 2 years in Mexico, or wherever he disappeared to,